Have you ever wondered why every February 14th we exchange tokens of affection in the name of St. Valentine? A question that surely tickles the mind of many, yet few know the answer. It's a tale as old as time, a tale wrapped in mystery, steeped in love and etched in our hearts. A tale of a day that has become a global celebration of love and affection. So are you ready to unravel this captivating story? Dive with me into the annals of history as we unravel the fascinating tale of Valentine's Day. The roots of Valentine's Day lie in the ancient Roman festival of Lupercalia. Yes, indeed, long before we associated February 14th with hearts and chocolates, the Romans were celebrating in their own unique way. Lupercalia, an annual festival held on the Ides of February or February 15th, was a day to honour Faunus, the Roman god of agriculture, along with Romulus and Remus, the mythical founders of Rome. The essence of Lupercalia was fertility, a theme that echoes in our modern Valentine's Day celebrations. But the Romans' approach to promoting fertility was, well, a tad more direct than our exchange of candy hearts. The celebration of Lupercalia was a grand spectacle. It began with an offering. The priests, called Luperci, would gather at the sacred cave where Romulus and Remus were believed to have been cared for by a she-wolf. In this sanctuary, they would sacrifice a goat for fertility and a dog for purification. Following the ritualistic sacrifices, the Luperci would cut the goat's hide into strips, dip them into the sacrificial blood, and take to the streets, gently slapping both women and crop fields with these goat hide strips. Far from being fearful, Roman women welcomed the touch of the hides, believing it would make them more fertile in the coming year. After the spirited parade, the day was filled with feasting and merriment, and as the day drew to a close, the young women of the city would place their names in a big urn. The city's bachelors would then each choose a name and become paired with that woman for the year, often resulting in marriage. So next time you're exchanging Valentine's cards or sharing a romantic dinner, remember the rich and somewhat peculiar history that laid the groundwork for this day of love. But how did a pagan festival transform into a day of love? Let's journey on. Enter St. Valentine, a figure shrouded in mystery. The story of Valentine is as complex as the man himself. There are countless tales, myths and legends associated with this iconic figure, but the one that stands out, the one that resonates the most, is that of a priest who defied the rules in the name of love. Our tale begins in the 3rd century Roman Empire, under the reign of Emperor Claudius Gothicus. A man of war, Claudius believed that married men made poor soldiers. So he did what any self-respecting dictator would do. He banned marriages. Love, it seemed, was a casualty of war. This is where our hero Valentine enters the stage. A priest, a man of faith, he couldn't stand by and watch as love was outlawed, so he took matters into his own hands. In secret, under the cloak of darkness, he began to marry couples, defying the emperor's decree. A rebel priest, a champion of love, but as is often the case, secrets have a way of coming out. Valentine's actions were discovered and he was arrested. Imprisoned for his belief in love, he became a symbol of defiance, a beacon of hope for all those who believed in the power of love. But the story doesn't end with his arrest. While in prison, it's said that Valentine fell in love with the jailer's daughter. Before his execution, he penned a letter to her, signed "From your Valentine," a phrase that would echo through the ages. So we have our Valentine, a priest who believed in love so much that he was willing to risk everything for it. A man who, even in the face of death, continued to spread the message of love. But how did this man, this martyr, become the symbol of love we know today? How did he become associated with love? Well, that's a story for another time. Fast forward to the Middle Ages, a time when the concept of romantic love was born. A period steeped in chivalry and courtly love, where knights would woo their ladies with heartfelt poetry and grand gestures. It was a time when love was not just an emotion, but an art form, a dance between two hearts. This is the era where the idea of romantic love as we know it today truly started to take shape. Interestingly enough, the concept of love was not tied to marriage as it is now. Marriages were often arranged for political or economic reasons. Love, in contrast, was revered as a lofty ideal, something transcendent and spiritual. It was a passion to be pursued rather than a contract to be negotiated. In the midst of this romantic renaissance, the association of St. Valentine's Day with love began to take root. The seeds were sown by none other than Geoffrey Chaucer, the father of English literature. In his poem Parliament of Fowls, written to honour the first anniversary of the engagement of King Richard II, he penned the lines, "For this was on St. Valentine's Day, when every bird cometh there to choose his mate." These lines, suggesting that birds chose their mates on St. Valentine's Day, sparked a tradition. The day started to be celebrated as a time for lovers to express their affection for each other. Handwritten notes, known as Valentines, began to be exchanged, filled with sweet nothings and declarations of love. And so the Middle Ages saw the birth of romantic love and the association of this powerful emotion with St. Valentine's Day. From a commemoration of a saint's martyrdom, Valentine's Day was slowly transforming, evolving to become a celebration of love and affection. The stage is set for the transformation of Valentine's Day into a celebration of love. Let's take a detour and explore the history of Cupid, the god of love. Known as Eros in Greek mythology, Cupid is the son of Venus, the goddess of love and beauty. This cherubic deity is often depicted with a bow and arrow, ready to strike the hearts of gods and humans alike and cause them to fall deeply in love. There are countless tales of his romantic exploits, his most famous being the love story with Psyche, a mortal woman of extraordinary beauty. Their story, filled with trials and tribulations, is a testament to the enduring power of love. Now, you might be wondering, what does Cupid have to do with Valentine's Day? Well, the association of Cupid with this day of love symbolizes the romantic love and affection that the holiday celebrates. His image graces many a Valentine's Day card, a reminder of the passion and desire that is integral to this special day. So, when you see a cute cherub with a bow and arrow this Valentine's Day, remember the rich mythology that brought him to life. From the heart-tugging tales of the Middle Ages to the public declarations of love, in the Victorian era, Cupid has been there, shooting his arrows and spreading love. In the Victorian era, the private expressions of love started to become more public. This period was marked by a shift in societal norms and the rise of a middle class with disposable income. The handwritten notes of affection, or valentines, that were exchanged during the Middle Ages began to take on a more elaborate form. With the advent of the printing press, these notes transformed into beautifully crafted cards, adorned with lace and ribbons and featuring romantic imagery and heartfelt poetry. These Valentine's Day cards became a popular way to express one's feelings to their beloved. The Victorian era also saw the popularization of the tradition of giving flowers, especially roses, as a symbol of love and affection. The red rose in particular became synonymous with romantic love, largely due to its association with the Greek and Roman goddess of love, Aphrodite and Venus respectively. The tradition of giving chocolates also has its roots in the Victorian era. It was during this time that Richard Cadbury, of the famous Cadbury Chocolate Company, introduced the first box of Valentine's Day chocolates. The beautifully decorated boxes, filled with delicious chocolates, became a popular Valentine's Day gift. This era saw a significant shift in the celebration of St. Valentine's Day. It was no longer just a day to express one's feelings in private, but a day to declare one's love publicly through the giving of cards, flowers, and chocolates. This public display of affection set the stage for the commercialization of Valentine's Day in the centuries to come. As we move into the modern era, the commercial aspect of Valentine's Day takes center stage. Valentine's Day, a celebration steeped in history and romance, has been gradually transformed by the winds of commerce. The once humble tokens of affection have blossomed into a multi-billion-dollar industry, with love now expressed through lavish gifts and extravagant gestures. The inception of this commercialization can be traced back to the mid-19th century, when the first mass-produced Valentine's Day cards were introduced. It was during the Victorian era, a time of sentimentality and elaborate courting rituals, when exchanging handwritten notes of affection became passé. The advent of printed cards allowed people to express their feelings with a touch of elegance and convenience, and the trend took off like wildfire. However, the commercialization of love didn't stop there. The 20th century introduced a new player to the Valentine's Day game: the chocolate industry. Chocolate, with its rich, velvety taste and purported aphrodisiac properties, quickly became the go-to gift for the Day of Love. The heart-shaped box of chocolates, an emblem of Valentine's Day, became a symbol of sweet affection and indulgence. Florists, too, found a lucrative opportunity in Valentine's Day. The tradition of giving flowers, especially roses, dates back centuries. But it was only in the 20th century that this practice was commercialized on a grand scale. Today, millions of roses are grown, harvested and shipped worldwide just to meet the demand for Valentine's Day. In the 21st century, the commercialization of Valentine's Day has reached new heights. From expensive jewelry to lavish vacations, the expression of love has become an industry in itself. Despite the commercialization, the essence of Valentine's Day remains the same: a celebration of love and affection. It's a reminder that love, in all its forms, is something to be cherished and celebrated. Valentine's Day, a day of love, has certainly come a long way from its roots in ancient Rome. So there we have it. A journey through time examining the history of Valentine's Day. We've travelled from the Roman era, where it all began with the wild festival of Lupercalia, a time when love wasn't all roses and chocolates, but a bit more, shall we say, primal. We then moved to the noble sacrifice of St. Valentine, a man who believed so strongly in the power of love that he risked and ultimately lost his life for it. His story, steeped in courage and defiance, reminds us that love is not always about comfort, but often about bravery and resilience. Then we journeyed to the Middle Ages. Love was being romanticized, courtly love was in vogue, and the first Valentine's Day cards were being exchanged. The tradition of expressing one's feelings through written words, a practice that continues to this day, was born. Finally, we landed in the modern era, where love is celebrated with grand gestures and lavish gifts. Yes, some may argue that Valentine's Day has become overly commercialized, yet it persists as a day to pause, reflect, and express our affection for those we hold dear. Through the ages, the essence of Valentine's Day has evolved, yet it remains a celebration of love in all its forms. Whether it's a day of love or a commercial holiday, one thing's for sure: Valentine's Day is here to stay. Thank you for joining us on this journey through the history of Valentine's Day. We hope you found it as fascinating as we did, and that it's given you a fresh perspective on a holiday that's often taken for granted. If you've enjoyed this video, we'd appreciate it if you could give it a thumbs up and share it with your friends and family. It's a simple way to support our channel, and it helps us to continue bringing you content like this. We'd also love to hear your thoughts. Do you celebrate Valentine's Day? Do you think it's overly commercialized, or do you appreciate it as a day to express love and affection? Leave a comment below and join the conversation. If you found value in this video and you're not yet subscribed, please consider doing so. We cover a wide range of topics and aim to provide content that's not only educational, but also engaging and inspiring. Thank you for your support. We look forward to seeing you in our next video. Until then, stay curious, stay passionate, and above all, stay loving. After all, love is the greatest adventure of all. Stay tuned for more exciting content.